now. And that recording will be sent out later on this afternoon into the evening. Hold on, I just want to make sure I get this started. And it is awesome. It will be sent out, like I said, later on today into this evening, and then also attached to that will be that questionnaire. So, like I said, we are certainly seeking out your feedback. So please take the time to fill that out. Should be no more than 2 minutes. As far as how we are structuring the session today, it is going to be a question interview type of session, but we would encourage participation from those that are in the session. So if you have questions and you want to ask them, feel free to post those into the chat. Or if you'd like to raise your hand, I can call on you. You can take yourself off mute and ask away. So feel free to do that. We certainly want to be interacting with you throughout the session. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome our presenter co-host for this session. Raena, do you want to come on and introduce yourself, your background, and dive into where you are right now in your journey at WGU as well?
Hi, everyone. Hi, thanks for being here and being a part of this session. I'm Raena Noor, founder of and CEO of Raena Noor Company. Raena Noor Company is a business development and data strategy firm built to empower visionary entrepreneurs, community-based leaders, and mission-driven organizations. What I do at Raena Noor Co is I bridge the data gap between creativity and help businesses make smarter decisions, design meaningful customer experiences, and scale with purpose. I am a student of WGU. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in data analytics. I am a full-time student and a full-time mom. And my graduate roots are just leadership, strategic marketing, and multi-sector collaborations.
And one thing I'll start off, and I'd love to hear, how did you land at WGU? And I'm sure we'll kind of get into the entire background and everything, but why WGU?
Because of the flexibility. I definitely have experience in my field. I am pursuing Project Management Institute PMP certification, and my background is in social work minor and human resource, and I don't have the degree fully for me to be able to get that PMP certification. So WGU allows me the flexibility to take care of my home, my business, as well as meet my competency credits to pass school to get my bachelor's. So the flexibility definitely helps.
And I love asking that question because I think it just gives you an idea of, WGU is unique, and with our students and alumni from WGU, there's always that story behind the why, and one, why did you end up at WGU? It's always fascinating to hear, how did people come across it? What, how did you land here, and ultimately, why did you decide to pursue your degree? So I appreciate you sharing that. First question that I want to dive into. And it's pertaining to your business. What sparked the idea for Raena Noor and Company, and how did you know it was the right time to take that leap into entrepreneurship?
Well, what initially started from a place of like frustration and purpose. I was constantly offering high level strategy and analytics work with other organizations and saw firsthand how underserved communities and small businesses often don't get access to the same tools that these major companies that I work with. So what I wanted to do is present that opportunity and those solutions so that they can be able to scale and grow and meet their competitive market and target market at a firsthand and an opportunal rate. I'm sorry. And I knew it was time when I realized I didn't want to keep waiting for a seat at someone else's table. I wanted to build the table, invite others to it, and create solutions on our terms.
I love that. And looking back, what were some of the pivotal moments that shaped you or shaped your growth as a business leader?
Pivotal moments. Okay. Three of them I would have to say. three of them in different ways. I leading marketing and analytics campaigns for other people and other companies showed that I actually had the power to open my own company and be able to do it. I did have some personal things that occurred that taught me to be able to be resilient and urgent. So those moments in my life were going through I lost my father. So I needed that flexibility to be able to take care of my home needs. And um, I saw that I could do it. And um, pivotal moments. I would have to say that building my company while parenting and studying is a constant reminder that leadership is about consistency and not perfection.
And I think that's something we've kind of heard over the course of some of these sessions with different entrepreneurs is that like going through like overcoming that adversity or bumps in the road. Um, is there something that you do to maybe remind yourself or kind of help you motivate you getting through some of those difficult times? Something that maybe you've learned to kind of lean into or lean on during some of those, I don't want to call them low moments, but like points where you feel like, hey, this is really a struggle right now.
Definitely, great question. And actually, I'm going through a huge transition right now, so I'll use this current circumstance with the business growth, and I have teenagers that are. My daughter's going into her college courses, so I'm kind of balancing it all. And I would have to say that I'm sorry. Could you reiterate the question?
Yeah, like how do you overcome or kind of get through those difficult times? So like those
Oh,
situations where like like I said, I don't want to call them low moments, but those bumps in the road. Like what are some things that you do to kind of get you through those tough times?
and in times of being overwhelmed, and when I feel like I have so much on my list of things to do from every angle, I one task it. So what I do is I just sit down and I prioritize my core three tasks per each thing I need to conquer. And then I conquer those particular one task. And then once I feel like the harder things are, or the ones that require my most intense attention have been taken care of, and then I prioritize all the other things. So I do one task it. Days and moments where I'm overwhelmed, I make a list on my tasker, and then I just go down the list and I one task it. And I don't take on too much. I slow down. Slow down is a huge thing for me because we tend to move really quick in entrepreneurship. We have meetings, we have our families, we have, potential partnerships. So a lot of the times when you are moving fast and you're scaling, you get overwhelmed. And so I will take a step back. I will stop in the moment. I will take an hour to go to the park, and I will sit at the park with a cup of coffee and listen to my favorite podcast. After that podcast has ended, I had now know that it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to not, you can't complete everything in one day. There's not enough time, there's not enough hours, but you can one task it. And I get more done that way than rushing and having a sense of urgency constantly.
Do you do that and I know balancing parenting, going to school, running a business. Do you do that for all three of those, or do you keep it strictly for business for those as well?
Everything. I do it for everything. Like, my teens have so much going on in their lives, and I end up getting engulfed in their lives. So a lot of the times I end up telling them the same thing. I put them around my schedule. So everyone around me that I have to interact with, I don't necessarily, let me rephrase that. I don't put them on my schedule. I do try to set the tone and the pace for what we need to accomplish. And so it goes into every aspect and facet of my life. I tell them, hey, we need to slow down, and this is what we need to conquer in this moment so that we all can get our needs met.
I love it. And just incorporating all those things, like I'll be honest, like I don't know how you don't get burned out. That kind of leads into my next question. So is there a specific system that you use or a mindset that helps you stay focused to avoid burnout with all those different moving pieces all around you?
Well, one something I am actively implementing and learning at this very moment is learning how to delegate. So I take on, as leaders and as entrepreneurs, we tend to take on a lot of the responsibilities, especially when it's our baby. Our businesses are our baby, our families are our babies. So what I generally do is I delegate the responsibilities that are not mine to the people that they are and trust them to accomplish those tasks. And then I put we come to the table and all provide our feedback on those tasks. So delegation is a huge resource, and that's with everything. The children are responsible for their responsibilities, their education, and things they have to get done. When I'm meeting with stakeholders and potential partners, it is also their responsibility to do their part. And if I see that maybe I'm taking on a little bit much on any side, I do take a step back and say, hey, do you think this is something you want me to handle, or is this something that you can take care of yourself? So delegation is a huge resource. As far as tools, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I would love for you to wrap that up with the tools, and then I'm going to come back to the delegating piece.
Okay, as far as the tools go, I use Trello and Airtable in Slack in my household. All three are used in business and my household. My children are kind of on the same resource system as my business, so everything has to be done through a Slack form or an Airtable. So I run everything as a uniform, so I don't miss any points. It's a lot to delegate, so I use these tools across all everything.
I love that, and I wish I could emulate that. Where whatever I'm doing at work, I could apply at home too. Um, I I question on delegating, and I know this might be tough for individuals because you had brought up the point, this is your baby. Putting your trust in other people for delegating. How do you build that trust? Is there something that maybe you do? Is it through just conversation? Like, how do you build that trust to be able to delegate to those individuals?
That's a really great question because for the last 4 years, I've managed everything on my own. And I felt like you said, burnout was a thing. So with building that trust, it's almost like you have to trust that person that what they're bringing to the table is something that they have their own skills. I have to remind myself constantly that everyone comes to the table with their own set of skills and things of that sort that maybe I never want to be the smartest in the room. Let me be clear. So when it comes down to delegating, I choose people and resources that I am not that are smarter than me. So that when I delegate to them, they can bring something to the table that I can learn from. So building that trust, it just kind of like with business, you're kind of blinded with the trust. The trust is built through results. I would have to say my trust is generally built through results. To get to the point of wanting to delegate a particular task to someone, I am a LinkedIn person. I don't know if you are on LinkedIn. You can find me at Raena Noor. Let me explain to you. I am the queen of going, you are so talented in this. Hey, would you like to collaborate on this particular thing? And I will give you full creative responsibility. And if you never know what comes out of it. So the trust, I lead with blind trust. I'm going to be honest, because at this point, if you want to grow, it's not so much about having to understand if I fully trust this person. It's like, how can I build the trust in the relationship?
I love it. Jelena had a question in the chat. How can I avoid overbooking myself? I aim for a maximum of 5 tasks daily, but can only manage 3 some days and up to 15 on others. How do I forgive myself for not meeting my high expectations? So, is there something that maybe you do to not overbook, or to give yourself and Diane, great point, just to give yourself more self grace?
I would say the biggest thing with regarding overbooking, because I'm guilty of this often, especially right now, these last couple of months. So, with that being said, Diane, that's a beautiful question. I would have to say that I use my Calendly. So, I use Calendly as a central force for everything. Your tools are going to be your best resource for you to be able to make sure you can meet your needs. I set my calendar to a particular time of the day, and I only allow those times for those moments. And even if you can't meet that time in that moment, you realize that I've set aside this time for this moment. I did not meet that expectation. It's okay to reschedule the next day. So, understand that you don't have to take on too much. We often feel that way. And when you have meetings and things you have to meet and tasks you have to meet, I would say what I do, let me be honest. What I do is my calendar and my Calendly. If I don't schedule more than 2 meetings a day. So let's be clear. And I schedule my meetings on 2 days out of the week. So if you set specific days and times for specific tasks, you're able to accomplish what you need to accomplish without overbooking, but still feel like you've gotten some tasks that you need to complete throughout the day. So, I set a specific, and I let everyone in my environment know this task and this timeline is specific for this day. So if I have meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then I only book meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. When I have to do project outlines, I only schedule specific days to outline specific project tasks and specific hours throughout the day. And then I have a stopping point. One thing I'm learning as in my business is to have a stopping point throughout the day. So I'm set scheduling I am scheduling a lunch for this day between 11 to 1 or between 11 to 12. What I don't do is do and schedule anything through that time. So you have to be self-commitment is everything when it comes down to not overbooking and realizing what you can accomplish throughout the day. It's okay. Give yourself grace because we often want to accomplish everything. You're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. You're like, I have to set up this marketing campaign, or I have to network with these particular meetings and things of that sort. So I literally set specific times and I don't deviate. I'm true to what I need to accomplish and I don't deviate. And I saw a question pop up, and I'm sorry, with emergencies. When it comes when it comes down to emergencies, an emergency is just that, an emergency. So if you do have that emergency, anything that is out that's within the timeline, you communicate effectively. Communication is your best resource when it comes down to anything that's deviating your schedule. You go, unfortunately, I can't commit to this in this moment. I have a different priority. Is it okay if we reschedule? In this day and time, rescheduling is a thing. You are allowed to reschedule, and you're allowed to say, I have to take care of something else. And it's trust and it's allowing you that opportunity to do that.
I love it. Next one, I shift gears a little bit. How do you approach using data and analytics to drive smart business decisions? And then I'll ask a follow-up once you go through that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that for me?
How do you approach using data and analytics to drive smart business decisions?
Okay. My approach would be to look at the particular pain point and goal of either myself or the company or partners that I'm working with. Um, Hold on there. I need to turn off the messages because I want to answer these questions that are popping up. That's the squall in me. So my approach would definitely, I do it with everything, even with myself. I do a consultation. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What is my end goal? And what are my pain points that's interfering? And then I look at the resources I have. Am I having do I have any active resources that's collecting data on how I'm performing in these particular tasks, or how the company is performing in these particular tasks? And then I analyze that data to create a system that creates results that they are looking for based off their end goal. The same with myself with business. And I use my tools to do that.
How has that evolved over time? Has it evolved since you
It
started
has.
doing this?
Oh,
Yeah,
it has. And Diane, is it Diane or Diane?
Diane.
Diane, you are awesome because you're asking all the great questions. I use AI. So I'm going to be honest, I have the pleasure of having some new partnerships that are leading industry leaders in AI. And yes, I do leverage AI as a resource heavily in my day to day. And I will tell you, as simple as, let's go back to the actual question of how do I delegate and how do I perform not overbooking myself. AI is a huge resource in helping me create a system that works for me. So I go into AI and I go, these are the book meetings and the task I have to complete this week. Can you help me develop a schedule to not be overwhelmed? That's an actual prompt you can put into there. And it comes up with a chart. And I'm not even kidding. That chart goes into my calendar. So I make adjustments. AI is a huge resource for me.
And next question that came in through the chat. What business analytics tools do you use? Excel, Power BI, Tableau, other? I'm starting my own consulting business in New York City. Would love to hear more about how you started.
Okay. So Tableau is a resource, but I use Salesforce. Salesforce is a huge resource. Who's the owner of Tableau. Tableau is really great. I use Power BI if the business. So let me go back. I'm sorry. I love information. I love these questions. Let me go back. So I look at the company that I'm working with, and I look at the target market of the companies and the tools that they will need to meet their end goal. So as a consultant, you want to look at your target audience and see what their pain points are, and you build your resource system off their pain points. So if you're going to do a data analytics consultancy company, you're going to want to look at who you're looking to consult with and what tools that will benefit for you to get the data you need to meet their goals. I use Power BI for companies that use Power BI. I use Tableau for companies that use Tableau. I use Airtable for smaller companies and nonprofits. I use Salesforce for major companies and mid market companies. So it really comes down to what tools you actually will benefit from the clients that you're working with. My core tools are Salesforce, Airtable, which is Airtable and Tableau. I use Microsoft with a particular client, but it's not my core actual resource. And Trello, Airtable, I use them all. I did. Did I answer your question? Let's go there.
I'll wait for Cedric to respond to that one. But it sounded on point to me.
Oh, and as far as your consultancy company, partnerships are your best friend. I just want you to be honest. Partnerships are your best friend. You're going to want to network in the data analytics environments that you are looking to, in the sectors and the industries that you're looking to consult in. And a lot of that's what I do. I network in those environments, and I listen to my peers as to what their pain points are and what their needs are, and I go from there.
And yes, you did answer it, so spot on.
Thank you.
The next question that I had for entrepreneurs who may be intimidated by data, where do you recommend they start when it comes to measuring what matters?
Well, that's a great question. Intimidated by data. Oh, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming. Um, I would say start at where you are and look at where you're trying to go. And that's my main thing. That's how I navigate. How do I generate partnerships? I'm sorry, Montana. How do I generate partnerships? How do I generate partnerships? LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, LinkedIn. So all of the meetings and the partnerships that I have, if they have events or meetings going on, I attend those meetings and I put myself present in the meetings by asking leading questions. And then if someone is in a department that I work with and I would like to partner with them, I send them a LinkedIn message, a connection request, and I go, hey, I see you're doing great things at your company. I'd like to discuss potential collaborations. And
And then what is the next step after that? Because this is actually, Montana, you stole my thought process here. My next question was all about partnerships. So what is the next step after that? Like you connect with them on LinkedIn, you share, hey, I love what you're doing. Would love to continue the conversation. Like, what is the next step from there? And Montana, no, that was perfect.
the next step from there would be to schedule a meeting. Get out there. I am an introvert. Let's be clear. I am an introvert. I have a threshold, which is why I told you earlier, I set a meeting and I don't deviate from me. I set a time and I don't deviate. I'm an introvert. So to putting myself out there, and recently in the last couple of months has been my strong points, is I go and I schedule a meeting or I schedule a coffee. If they're local to me, I schedule a coffee and I make it all about learning about them. And it is. I want to learn about who you are, and then it opens up the opportunity for me to talk about myself. So after I initially set a connection request, if they accept, then I am introducing an opportunity for either a virtual meeting or a face-to-face meeting, just to go over who we are, just to build a genuine connection. from there. And the next point after that is I mutually support. So if they have a business or a goal that they're trying to meet, I actively become a supporter in their process.
And then tying into that, what advice would you give entrepreneurs looking to form strategic alliances to grow their business?
My method, if I'm going to sell it, we're partners. If I need it as a resource, we're partners. So I use IBM in my solutions, I'm a solutions partner. I use Adobe in my solutions, we're partners. Salesforce, there are partnerships. So okay, let's go back. Your big strongest point in data and to build partnerships to get into your consultancy, you're going to want to partner with the solutions process that you're going to be using. So in my experience, IBM, Adobe, Salesforce, Shopify, they have, once you develop and organize your business, they have the opportunity for you to apply to partner with directly with them. And those are the partnerships I seek. I don't want to be like an affiliate. I want to work alongside you and your goals, which opens opportunity to co-marketing, co-selling. You get access to their resources to integrate and create within your system. So a lot of my solutions I offer my customers, I integrate the solutions and systems and co-market them with the partnerships that I have. Did that answer your question?
That was perfect. And next one that I have, how do you ensure your company stays grounded in its mission? I feel like sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, like you come up with a mission, and that can kind of change and develop further over time, and sometimes get away from it. So how do you ensure that your company stays grounded in its mission, especially when scaling or facing external pressures?
Staying true to yourself when you're scaling and you're getting out so many different opportunities can be challenging. The best way I stay grounded within my company is to remember why I started, and why it became so important for me to create these solutions and things of that sort. So in moments where I'm like, oh, I want to shoot here and be on these particular rooms, your mission should be front forward in everything that you do, in every solution that you create, and every partnership that you develop. Your mission should be involved in those. So what I do is I look at what the company is doing that I would like to work with and partner with, and then I look at my company and I bridge the gap between the two on their needs. So staying grounded to me is just realizing I am a single mom, and I love what I do. I love data. I love everything dealing with systems and processing. I love creating other systems, and I love to see other small business owners, female business owners, and profit communities be able to have the opportunities to support their community in a more adequate and in a more essential way. So how I stay grounded in my company is just continuously remember why I do it, and I build partnerships and connections around that mission. So you want to stay within your grounds of how you network and things of that sort if you want to stay grounded in your actual company. So I network and I communicate and I partner in the environments that are there, that are also nourishing those missions that I have. So a lot of my partnerships have the same missions I have: sustainability, community reach, and things of that sort. So you want to just network and build those partnerships based off your mission as well. So that's how I stay grounded. I make sure the companies.
Question off of that, and this is more me being curious. You create these partnerships, and let's say an organization brings you in to do some consulting for them. How often are you meeting with them? Is that something where it depends on the organization, as far as if there's a high need, or maybe they need something very specific? So does that fluctuate depending on whoever you're working with?
It does fluctuate based off the needs of the client. So again, I'm flexible, because this is not just my business. Like my partners are my business, and everyone is my business. So I stay grounded. But if they have, like, say for instance, a stakeholder comes to the table that's something that is not necessarily aligned with my mission, that's where my partnerships come in. Because even if you don't align with my particular mission, then I will always be a resource to you and provide you with the resource you need to be able to be or partner with a company that aligns with your mission. I won't just it's about mm, yeah. Hold on a second.
Looking, no, you're okay. Um, Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, cool. Next one that I have, and it goes back to a comment that you made in the beginning, and it's just kind of stuck with me. Um, just pertaining for a seat at the table, you wanted your own table. So what piece of advice would you give somebody who's just starting to think about creating their own lane?
Stay diligent, stay confident, and stay true to yourself. Um, it's scary. Starting something new is scary, and going against the normalcy of what you're used to and what you're comfortable with will have you getting the same result. My solution is to get uncomfortable. um, if it's uncomfortable for me to do, I shoot for it. I shoot towards it. So if you want to start your own business, start it. Your first thing is going to be sitting down in front of a Trello or Airtable and outlining a roadmap that meets your needs. But if you and don't be afraid to get started. Oh, you know what? No, actually, be afraid. I want you to be afraid, because fear tends to get us to move and to create more comfortable environments. So you're going to be afraid, and you're going to want to give up at moments and times. And it's funny we're having this conversation because you brought this question. I had this conversation with my sister this morning. We can get overwhelmed, but if you're just starting out, sit down with yourself and say, is this really what I want? And then when you're done with answering that question because you want it, then you go through and you just move. You keep going. You keep moving. So if you're just starting out and you're feeling discouraged, it's okay. We all are discouraged. We're often discouraged day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. Every rejection gives an opportunity for someone to accept you. Every no gives an opportunity for someone who wants to believe in you to give you a yes. But in order for them to be able to do so, you have to start with yourself. So, did I answer
Another
that question? I'm
that
sorry.
that was amazing, and I think it's important for like your fear comment. Like I think people don't like to get uncomfortable sometimes, but your point on like, hey, that's something that could really drive you. I think that's just that hits home across industries, and that's something that I feel like no matter what you're looking to do, that can really hit home. Another question that came in through the chat: which previous project would you regret not finishing if your current idea exceeded expectations?
Do you mind rephrasing the question for me? Because I may have registered it differently.
Jelena, if you wanted to rephrase that, that would be awesome. Yep. If the idea you are currently pursuing achieves greater success than anticipated, which previous project would you wish you had completed?
Hmm. So if I'm working on a particular project or idea that's exceeding things, and I does this is this on the assumption that I didn't complete my last projects, or that I focused primarily on this particular project and not and let my other projects kind of like lax. I think the best way I can answer this, if I'm under that assumption, is that I don't really let any of my other projects fall while I'm still working on my current ideal and projects. Everything to me is always a work in progress. So even if I'm not able to particularly complete a project that I'd like to complete in this moment, it's always there for me to complete when I have the time and the availability to do so. I do keep everything that I'm working on project wise in like a spreadsheet. And if it's something I'm passionate about, I never let it fall. I don't particularly have a project I haven't been able to fully complete, because I have many projects that are work in progress as I continue to focus on scaling my particular business that I'm working in right now. They all align with that business. So if I'm passionate about it and it's the project I'm working on, I implement it into my current goal that I'm working on as well. Does that answer your question, Jelena? Oh, nice. Okay.
Next question that that I had, and it goes back. You'd made the comment about not being the smartest person in the room. Um, how do you get to that point and realize, you know what, maybe I'm not the smartest person in this room pertaining to a specific topic. I I feel like that might be something difficult to kind of overcome and come to that realization. So was there something specific that, maybe it was a light bulb type moment for you that made you realize that?
When you are the smartest person in the room, you're not able to grow. You're pretty much you're the teacher, and that's okay to be the teacher. But if you're looking to scale and grow, being the smartest and person in the room won't allow you to be able to learn, and won't allow you to be able to become a better version, or better create better opportunities. So how I became comfortable not being the smartest person in the room was realizing that the smarter people in the room are the ones who are actually where I would like to be in my business. So I surround myself with the people who are excelling and where I want to be. And generally that lets me realize that, oh, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I need to take notes, and I need your LinkedIn code. So, how I became comfortable is realize it's just that. It's like, okay, I can learn from you. Having a learning mindset, I'm learning as a business leader and as an entrepreneur, gets you so far than realizing that I know a lot. Salespeople are the ones who should be the smartest in the room. I'm a business owner. I'm not just a salesperson. So I want to learn from my peers when I enter the room. And I want them to learn from me. Let me circle back to that and realize that when you are a student in the room, it gives you also the opportunity to be a teacher in the room as well. So where everyone is sharing their knowledge, and if they're a subject matter expert, you're also able to present the gaps and present what you know in the gaps of the information that's not being shared. Did I
I
answer
love
your question?
I love that response. No, that was fantastic. Um, Next question that I had, and I'd love, for more people, if you wanted to raise your hand and come off mute, you certainly could do that and ask questions. Um, I guess as you kind of, how has your time at WGU, has that changed your business model at all with what you're currently doing? Has that really, shaped where the direction of where the business is going from your time at WGU?
It has. It has. It made me realize that there is more to my industry and my field than I initially thought. I will tell you that. There is it definitely, being at WGU has definitely taught me, one, better time management skills. Let's just be honest, because I didn't realize just how important it was to be present and to my education. You think you know the information, but really there's so much more you could learn. So since I've been at WGU, how it's positively impacted my business efforts is helping me realize what my industry needs and what I need to learn to move forward in my industry, and also keeping that learning mindset going. So that's one thing that being at WGU has done. But it also gave me an alternative realization that creating opportunity can be flexible. Creating the opportunity that you have can be flexible, and you don't have to go the traditional route, and you don't have to be discouraged from the traditional route. If you have more time on your hands, like I end up being able to complete a lot of courses in a certain amount of time, that propel me forward than me having to be focused in class and in front of someone for anywhere between 6 to 8 hours a day. The flexibility allows me that opportunity to create self accountability, and that's one thing that I can take from my experience with WGU and implementing it into my process as I'm building my business, is self accountability.
That was perfect. Two questions just came in. Um, Defining your target group or customer base. Either iterative, oh my God, excuse me, or did you know beforehand?
No, actually, I didn't know my target audience, to be honest. I didn't know. Did know I wanted to help other small business owners like myself. But I didn't know that my target audience would reach where they are right now, which is nonprofit communities. And that came from me supporting my mom's business, who is she owns a tea lounge, and she actually works in her local community as far as outreach. And I was like, you all could benefit from me, because some of my partnerships that I have and some of my solutions I have could actually benefit for your ability to look for grants and funding, for your ability to monitor how your resources and programs are going. So my target market is still developing, but my core target market is just my passion and why I started my business. But it is, as I continue to grow and as I continue to understand the solutions I'd like to offer, it is becoming more aware and apparent that my target market can change in the process. It can, and in a good way.
And then a second question to that, how much of your work is related to marketing and sales of digital products or SaaS, and in comparison to companies working with physical products?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question.
How much of your work is related to marketing slash sales of digital products in comparison to companies working with physical products?
Okay, so I would say most of my sales is like 75% with digital solutions. I recently just opened up the opportunity with Microsoft and with Lenovo to also offer the hardware. So, I'd like to offer the hardware, the physical solutions into the implementation as I build workstations and as I continue to build solutions for my customers. Then I get to more of the physical realm. But I would say 75% of my business, 75-80% of my business is digital solutions. Does that answer your question?
And we'll give Cedric an opportunity to write in yes or no, or reword the question if it didn't. Um,
That's a great question, because Lenovo and I just partnered together, and I'm actually looking at offering servers and offering hardware to the customers, who, because a lot of companies don't really realize what goes into a full scale data analysis program to be able to scale their business. So that's an awesome question.
and next one that came in, how do you maintain accountability um, and discipline in solitude? What prevents you from self-destructive behaviors despite knowing their consequences, and how do you practice self-parenting?
Therapy. I'm not even gonna kid you. I'm only one person, and you sit with yourself long enough, you start to give yourself advice. Not all the time, depending on the state of mind that you're in, you're giving yourself the best advice, because we will talk ourselves out of some situations and we will talk ourselves into some situations. So, to be fully transparent, I see my therapist 3 times a week, and I run a lot of ideas by her of things that I am experiencing and changing. Because when you're growing, and being an introvert, you do value your solitude, but oftentimes we can be so reclusive that we need an extrovert to pull us out of that, and that's okay too. But if you aren't surrounded by a bunch of extroverts and your peers, and you're not close to a lot of people, I would say your best line of defense is, one, if you have a group of peers that you trust, it's okay to ask, would you like to have an accountability? I have a WGU accountability group on one of my social networks where we all hold each other accountable for our education and for what we're trying to accomplish. So I build networks and communities around that, but I go back to the original because I was so introverted that I was not building connections and partnerships. And so I had to learn how to break out of being happy alone in my solitude and realizing that you can find self accountability in, and you can find you can have supportive accountability with your peers and other networks as well. So I parent myself, but truthfully my network also supports in that effort.
And then going back to Cedric's question on related to marketing and sales of digital products. So most of your customers are working on market digital services, not physical products like supermarkets, hardware stores.
Oh no, actually, no, they are. I'm maybe not understanding the question. Do you mind if I read it?
No, go
Sometimes
for it. Yeah.
I need to see it. Okay, your original question was how much of your work is related to marketing sales of digital products. Okay, I think I understand the question now. So, okay, no, actually my clients work for both sides of things. So whereas one of my clients is selling a subscription box. Hold on one second.
And just to jump in, quick reminder, session is being recorded. So you can certainly go back and reference anything that's covered today. I'm also going to attach in that questionnaire that I had posted at the beginning, just to post it at the end. But Raena, I'll pass it back to you for that question.
Thank you. Yes. So no, my okay. So my client base is diverse. To answer your question, Cedric, so I have a few clients that actually have a restaurant, a store, subscription boxes. I have clients who are offering digital solutions, and speaking engagements and things of that sort. So I would have to say that it's an even mix at the current time. It really depends on who you connect with. Uh, I have both clients that do physical products as well as digital products. And if I understand your question now, I would have to say that that's about a 50-50 on the marker. Because some of my clients actually, one of my particular clients is building a system that I am actually using my data analytics to help support their client base. So it really depends on the needs of your clients. But I would say that's my answer to your question. I believe I answered it correctly. Can you correct me if not?
Another question that came in, do you rely on a particular system or framework to structure how you deliver your services?
Hmm. No, I don't. The framework I use right now is definitely client based. So I would say I do a consultancy, I do a discovery, and after the discovery, I build a solution proposal, and then I have a project implementation process and project onboarding process. And then I have a milestone process built within that project process. So I don't have a particular framework. I really do base my solutions per the needs of my customers because I have three different markets I'm meeting, and not every framework works for every market. So as I continue to scale, I'm becoming more apparent of what that framework will look like. But the initial is outreach, consultancy, discovery, project onboarding, implementation, and then I desire full transparency. So I built a system through Airtable, and I combined Airtable, Slack, and Trello into my solution systems for my customers to build transparency so they see what I'm working on and what we're completing, but also it holds them accountable for giving me the information I need necessary to make their project a success. A lot of my clients don't have any framework or any type of infrastructure. So I am normally the core developer in those aspects, which I love because it gives me free it gives me creative what do you call it? It gives me the ability to do what I want, basically, and build a system that meets the need of the customer.
Cedric had another
Creative
question.
control. Yes, Robert. Thank you.
There you go. Uh,
Thank you.
there was another question in the chat, and I will let you read it.
Okay, let me see.
Cedric had another fantastic question, and I want to make sure that you're able to answer it.
Yes, that's a great question, Cedric. Actually, here's how I got to WGU. So I live out of data and spreadsheets. It's my life. It's how I organize. I color code everything. It goes into my planner and then it goes into my spreadsheet. And my friend told me that this is particular. She's like, you realize there's a job for you, right? And I was like, oh no. She was like, yeah, there's a job for you, and you need to get into it because it'll help you. And she actually sent me Data Camp as one of my resources. And Data Camp is actually a great resource for you to be able to learn how to navigate. Another resource, and actually, let's connect on LinkedIn because I'll have to give you some more resources there. But because in WGU, the Zybucks is a huge resource. But if you're just starting out and you don't have any data background, Data Camp is actually really awesome. Also, Microsoft Learning has some particular resources for you to be able to develop your skills, but also gain industry leading certification. So those are resources that I use. And also, if you're looking into opening a consultancy business, when you become a partner with a lot of the programs or software that you use, they actually have learning databases. So I use I use Salesforce learning database for me to hone some of my skills, and I use Microsoft Learning as an ability. And these resources are free to you, just so you know, when you become a partner with them. So they are free to you. Let me see. How have you gone? Yes. You will never feel like you're ready, Cedric. I'm going to be honest with you because data is changing so frequently. You want to create, like I said, a learning mindset to where you're always willing to grow and perfect those skills. I take 3 courses a week or so, or every other week, that help me to continue to stay up to date on any type of new developing skills or any type of data skills that help me stay ready and ready to go and for the solutions for my partners. Again, building those partnerships are a huge resource because they oftentimes when they're launching a new software or launching a new resource for their customers, you have access to learn those resources before it hit market fully. Did I answer your question?
We'll give Cedric a second to.
And Tanya, do I build in automations in Salesforce? Yes, I do. Yes, Agentforce is amazing. I just learned 2 weeks ago, I attended a virtual conference that they had for Agentforce. And yes, I do. Agentforce is amazing. And if you don't use it, I recommend it.
And just if people do have questions, as we are coming close to the end here, what's the best way to connect with you? Is it over LinkedIn? Is it another way? What do you recommend for people if they have follow-up questions for the session? Would it be to connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yes, please. I am on LinkedIn 24/7. Responding to messages and networking and things of that sort. And it allows me to connect with my peers in my market more adequately than other social networks. So if you have any questions or you want to network and collaborate on any type of information or share, or I would have to say any type of accountability, because I need it. I need more accountability partners. So I am definitely open to connecting because it can get really distracting over here, as you can see from our from our session. So if you definitely want to connect, my name is Raena Noor on LinkedIn, and my company is Raena Noor Co.
And I would tell everybody, again, like we joined the session, we're looking to gain a greater knowledge base. Raena has done a fantastic job with that, but I would encourage you to also build out your professional network, share your LinkedIn in the chat, and connect with each other, and swap ideas, or Raena had mentioned the accountability partners. Like that's something I think is important. So if you're able to share those, build out that professional network, and continue to grow as a professional. Raena, I do want to say thank you so much for jumping in and sharing your insight, sharing your story. I think there's something that no matter anybody's background, there's something that they can take away from what you shared. So I certainly appreciate you taking the time to jump in. I do want to give you the opportunity, if you had any closing remarks or anything that you wanted to end on, would love to kind of hear your thoughts.
Almost definitely. I want to say thank you for taking the time out and inviting me to perform at this particular event. I definitely did not know WGU had these networking opportunities, so you just opened my eyes to ability for me to be able to network with my other peers. And thank you all for coming and spending the time with me today. I'd say whether you're launching a business or exploring your passion, still figuring out your next move, just know that you don't have to have it all figured out right now when you're just starting out. Your story, your perspective, and your experience matters. So start where you are and use what you have, and trust that your lane is worth building without any type of hesitation. If you'd like to stay connected, I've given you how to connect with me, and I wish you all clarity, confidence, and momentum as you move forward, because this is an amazing experience. I definitely, if you are and you have a passion for data, if you have a passion for learning, if you have a passion for just building your community, definitely entrepreneurship is it's what we are. It's who we are. It's what ensures that we continue to move on and move forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. So big kudos to you, and definitely those that are attending, connect and ask any follow-up questions that you might have. But I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to jump in. We have 2 more of these sessions tomorrow. So if you're interested in learning more about other opportunities, other individuals, active students, and alumni from WGU that have taken that jump, certainly feel free to jump into those sessions. But Raena, thank you again so much. This has been fantastic. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You all have a beautiful day.